What's up, Zach here, and these are the top 10 worst performance shoe gimmicks on the market right now. And while all of them do have utility, and while a lot of them can benefit you in some way, a lot of them are overutilized, overhyped, overmarketed, and I think people place a lot of faith in some of these. You should just know what they actually are designed for, and what their limitations are, and what they could actually do for you before you go out and just go to buy them because you just see the name in the shoe. So let's get into it. All right, first gimmick. Carbon fiber plates. Now don't get me wrong, carbon fiber plates do tremendous work in running shoes, and gram for gram, they are just a ridiculously strong material to make a shank out of. But in the last, I'd say 10 years, they have just increasingly become overutilized, misused, just over-marketed to the point of almost becoming a meme. Now, carbon fiber plates, when they're used correctly, don't really allow a lot of flexibility in the shoe. Now, what that does is it decreases the proprioception, which means your feel on court. It decreases the amount of degrees of freedom the shoe has, and therefore your foot. So it does not allow your foot to feel or interact with the ground as much as a shoe that maybe had some more flexibility in it, especially when that carbon fiber plate goes into the forefoot. That's really where I think the gimmick is with the carbon fiber plates, is in court shoes or even some running shoes when that carbon fiber shank or that plate is going all the way up into the forefoot. Now, it doesn't just decrease the flexibility in the shoe to the point of decreasing the feel and the movement and the flexibility of your foot, but it also bypasses all those joints in your foot, which leads right up to where? Your Achilles tendon. So actually, long carbon fiber plates in shoes actually lead to overload of the Achilles. And while no, it's not going to just automatically cause a rupture, ruptures are multifactorial in the Achilles, it can increase your risk. Like I said, it's just putting so much more force and overload into that Achilles over a shorter period of time, or over a shorter gait cycle relatively, because like I said, that force is not being driven through the different joints in your foot, it's just going straight up into your ankle, into the Achilles. And yeah, a lot of you will say, well, that's the point. It's creating a diving board effect. I almost cracked a little bit, but it creates a diving board effect in your foot. And while yeah, that is true, and in running, when you're going for a time, right, and you have very consistent strike, you're more of an elite runner, then yes, that's great. But we need that flexibility when you're backstepping or negative stepping, hezi stepping, you know, trying to explode from basically just standing around. That's where this becomes, I think, the gimmick, and that's where I think other cheaper materials, honestly, and other cheaper configurations sometimes can do a better job in the whole of a lot of, you know, more court sports, or even sometimes just in casual jogging and running. All right, gimmick number 2, data-driven outsoles. Now, I've said for a while now, with the newer rubber outsole compounds that are coming out, as well as other materials people are using for outsoles now, it does not matter what the outsole tread is, what shape it is, as long as it is multi-directional. Because you've seen shoes like the D-Lo 1, which is this Waldorf pattern going all the way through it, right? LeBron 19 with just little crowns the whole way down the shoe. The Way of Wade 11, right? I mean, it's got 2 different outsoles on each shoe, and they all grip pretty well. All of them have their good days and all of them have their bad days. It really comes down to the compound, and as long as it is multi-directional. My favorite traction is just simple geometric shapes, right? Like they're either hexagons or octagons on the New Balance Fresh Foam BBV2. And then the BBV3 came out, and everyone likes that traction more, and it's totally different. So you can produce traction with pretty much any pattern. Those data-driven outsoles, to me, they honestly take out some of the outliers out there because they're getting, you know, the most common strike patterns of people, whereas the general buying audience, the general playing audience, especially in tennis, basketball, pickleball, volleyball, our feet are going everywhere. We're striking down at all different places. Our feet are all different shapes and different flexibility levels. So to me, you could just put herringbone in every shoe from now to Kingdom Come, and they'd probably be still just fine. It's the rubber compound. So when you're looking for a shoe, as long as it's multi-directional, the rubber compound's not garbage, you'll be just fine. All right, gimmick number 3, I'm probably gonna get some flack for this one, and that is Nike's ZoomX. Now, in a shoe just meant for one thing, speed, 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 Nike's Pebex-based ZoomX is, yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, it's light, it's got a ton of energy return, it's durable. I mean, it's just as durable as foam's, you know, magnitudes of order more dense than it. The other thing about ZoomX is it's incredibly unstable and unpredictable. And Nike has been trying to put it in more and more basketball shoes because people have been clamoring for them to get up to the level of companies, I don't even have it with me, but companies like Way of Wade, right, or Anta 361, who are putting in newer thermoplastic, PEBA-based foams, nylon-based foams, and they've just got, you know, they've got great feel, they've got great, you know, bounce height scores, all this other stuff. And so Nike's throwing ZoomX in a lot of their basketball shoes now, or some of them, not a lot of them, but the way ZoomX is tuned, it's way too unstable and unpredictable for it to really do well in those shoes. Those shoes just crumple under you. And yeah, they're light and they're very comfortable, but to me, they're just ankle sprains or ankle breaks waiting to happen. And so unless they find a way to cage it better or make it more containing. But remember, PebX or Peba, it's an incredibly versatile compound. So you can tune it to do pretty much whatever you want. You can actually tune it to be hard plastic on the sides of shoes too, like in the LeBron line. So you can really do whatever you want with it. So hopefully in the future, Nike just tools it a little bit differently for their basketball, tennis, volleyball, pickleball shoes versus running. And then I think maybe we can take that out of the gimmick category. All right, number 4, I had to throw this one in there because these are just awesome. And these are removable outsoled shoes. Now, I know these are largely off the market. The engineering it took to make them was just out of this world. Even myself with just, I mean, I don't move as fast as I used to anymore. And even me nowadays trying to use them, I can still feel that thing buckling under me and just the noises it makes, all other stuff. And I've actually had people tell me that those were their favorite shoes ever, and that when I did the video on them originally, that I was wrong and I was a hater and this and that. I'm not saying I hate the idea. I think the idea is fantastic, and I'm glad when companies do stuff like that to kind of push innovation. That's the only way we get better stuff. But that was in the annals of the Gimmick Hall of Fame. All right, number 5, and the one that I think has the most people in a stranglehold right now, and those are On's Cloud Tech Pods. Now just go literally anywhere, you'll see people wearing On shoes now. They are just the rage of all rages. And the thing with Cloud Tech Pods is, number 1, they wear too unevenly. I mean, I see this in my office constantly versus a solid foam midsole. The other thing is that in some of On's shoes, they make the foam so dense and hard to hold them up that the shoe can become uncomfortable. And in some others, they make them soft and they wear down even faster. I think for runners that are doing hills a lot, the more dense foamed On shoes, like the Cloud Monster, the Cloud Monster 2, those are unreal. They're probably some of the best shoes at climbing hills. And for people that replace their shoes often, like runners that place their shoes often enough, and like I said, are needing to get up and over hills, Helon Foam in and of itself, I think is great. I have no problem with Helon whatsoever. I think it's just for the casual market. I don't see it really being a benefit versus solid foam midsole shoe. All right, number 6, Skechers ArchFit Insoles. I think the problem is it's not necessarily that they are the gimmick, it's that what people think they're gonna do for them is the gimmick. They feel like they're getting this custom arch support in a shoe, whereas once you take that insole out, it's just a regular shoe, and that insole foam is pretty low density, at least compared to like a midsole foam or an orthotic. And so as soon as you press that down, then the shoe loses most of its arch support. So if you're buying a Skechers ArchFit shoe, just remember that ArchFit is just a standard, and it's just an insole with a little bit more arch support, which in and of itself is fine. It's great, nothing wrong with it, but don't expect it to be a custom orthotic or like a really good over-the-counter orthotic, because it is an insole. All right, number 7, Slipknot shoelace systems. Now, I've only seen a few of these out recently, but AS6 does a lot of it with their shoes. There's some basketball shoes now that have them. Basically what happens is the shoelaces toward the distal tip of the shoe, toward the end of the shoe, will go through a loop, and that loop is also attached to the other end of the shoe. So when you tie the laces down, both ends of the shoe kind of tie down double. Now that does increase lockdown a ton, but at the same time, it can really give you some nerve impingement down in the bottom of your foot. There's just people that cannot tolerate it. And then a lot of times, if you try to cut them, I think when one of K-Swiss's shoes, you try to cut it, and then there's nothing else there to lace your shoes through, so you kind of have to use it. And so to me, if you're someone with a narrow foot, they're fine. I think they're good, but anybody else, they actually can induce a little bit of pain. I do like the idea. I would just like to see it to where if you don't, like, I know some shoes you don't have to use it, but I would just like there to be an option. You can use it or you don't have to use it, because I think it just precludes a lot of the market. All right, next one, I'm sticking with AS6, sorry, and that is AS6 Gel. So the reason I say it's a gimmick is because the compound that AS6 Gel is it's so unstable. They even admitted that it's unstable. And so they can only put a very little bit in the shoe. Now they put more in their running shoes, but in terms of like a court shoe, AS6 Flight Foam and FF Blast Plus, and Eco are some of the best foams on the market, bar none. There's no question. their Gel Cumulus 2070, the running shoe, the foam structure of that shoe, I think I have 3 pairs of them. My wife's got 2 pairs. They're so good. Nothing has anything to do with the gel in them, right? And the comfort and the performance and everything on these has nothing to do with the gel. It's the overall construction of the shoe. Like I said, all the other ASICS shoes, I mean, I have a lot of ASICS shoes that I like a lot. And the reason I like them so much is because of the base carrier foams, not the gel. So yeah, I know that it's an interesting thing, and the actual gel itself is pretty cool. But to me, if you like ASICS and you like the feel of them and you like, you know, if you're a fan of them, you like them for the base foams, not the gel. All right, before I move on, I do want to do 2, I'd say, perceived gimmicks. One in that people think it's terrible, but I actually think it's a really good concept. Another one that people think is amazing that I think has just kind of basic value. We'll start with, well, let's do both at the same time. One is Flow Foam, the other one is the Reebok Pump. Now, Flow Foam, everybody moans and complains about that it's either too tacky, not tacky enough, and yeah, it does pick up dust, and yeah, it can lose traction. Yeah, it's not super durable, but I do think, sorry to say that, I do think the concept is just phenomenal. And I think Flow Foam itself is one of the best foams in the court shoe space. It has some of the best properties of thermoplastics like Pebex, nylon, but also of EVA. So I think in terms of the actual compound of it, I think it's one of the best. And I think if Under Armour or Curry Brand would just start doing hybrid rubber and Flow Foam outsoles, I think they would have the best shoes on the market, bar none. So, well, nickel's worth of free advice there. I've been giving it in like every single video. I'm not taking it yet. They probably won't take it now. The next one though is the Reebok Pump. And that is because so many people think this is just like the pinnacle of everything. And here, I love Reebok pumps. I got the match day pump right, or the court victory pump right here. Like, I love it. I love Reebok tennis. The thing is though, is it's the same technology in a fracture boot, right? All you do is pump this up to inflate this little bag in there to give you a little bit of a better fit. The other thing is the pouches tend to crack, right? So it's like one more point of failure. And if the shoe fits well enough, like, do you really need it? I mean, put it this way, I like Reebok Pump. I just think that over the years, people have conflated it to be more than it really is. Good concept, I think over-marketed. This one is another phenomenally, or maybe not even over-marketed, but just over-talked about. You know, people think it does more than it really does. And then Flow Foam, I think it's amazing, but maybe not utilized to its fullest potential, and maybe hated a little bit too much. All right, this next one kind of hurts me in the heart to put in, but if I'm being honest with myself, it is just a gimmick, and that is zippers and shrouds. Now, I've always said if there is something in a shoe that can aid in lockdown, it is not the laces. So a dorsal retention strap, like a Velcro strap, or elastic bands across the shoes, I think that's great because you're not just relying on the tie down of the laces for lockdown. It's one more point of failure. And yeah, a shroud and a zipper technically does do that, so I do like that. It can protect the laces. It's just that people see these high top shrouds, right, or these zippers that go up and make these high tops, or just encase the shoe, and then they think that that's adding just so much more containment, when in reality, a lot of times that zipper is like falling down, it's unzipping, it's not going all the way. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. It's window dressing. If you like it, and I do, that's great, good for you and good for me. But if I'm being honest with myself, is it really doing much? Probably not. All right, and lastly, but probably the most egregious gimmick on this list, are slipper tongues, booty liners, sock liners, or one-piece tongues. I hate these. Some companies, like Adidas, I think do a pretty good job of giving you a hybrid slipper tongue as well as traditional three-piece tongue. Now, what a slipper tongue is, or a booty liner or a sock liner is where the entire entry of the shoe is continuous. There's no breaks for the laces. Now, they say that gives you a glove-like fit, more flexibility, all this other nonsense. What it's really doing is it's just saving a lot of material, and what happens is the laces then don't really tie down anything. What ends up happening is yeah, the shoe might feel a little bit more slided, it might feel a little more intimately contacting your foot, but the containment to me just goes way down. I see way more ankle sprains, way more ankle breaks in those types of shoes. Yeah, hard in line where it's hybrid, I think that's the best of both worlds. The ASICS Court FF2 and 3, I think they do a fantastic job of giving you, like I said, the best of both worlds. But a lot of the other ones out there, like I said, to me are just, it's not enough containment for the type of movement that modern day court sports have. It also sometimes does not allow the tongue to be padded enough so you can get dorsal neuritis or nerve pain on top of there. So anytime you see these really flimsy one-piece tongues in there, yeah, they might feel a little more glove-like and a little bit lighter, but either go with the hybrids or just go with traditional three-piece tongue. There's a reason why we've been doing it for so long. We keep doing it through traditional three-piece tongues. It's because they work. All right, so I'd love to hear what your biggest gimmicks are, which ones you think are the biggest gimmicks on the market. And if there's any of these here that you absolutely love, you think I'm dead wrong about, let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, all of them have utility. All of them have great things about them. It's just that either from a marketing standpoint or from a buyer standpoint, misunderstanding, miscommunication, kind of gotten blown out of proportion throughout the years. And if you want to talk about a real miscommunication, if you want to know what I think the 5 biggest lies, misconceptions, and myths are about low top shoes, because there's a lot of them going around right now, make sure you click into this video right here and subscribe down below. I'll see you in that one.